Nathan, is it possible to love a bank?
Well, today we're going to find out with our review on Bank of Queensland.
Let's get stuck right in. So, Bank of Queensland, let's take a step back. So this isn't just a Queensland bank. Obviously, they're based all around Australia, but they're pretty tiny. And in recent times, they've bought Virgin Money, they've bought Investec,
which is also known as BOQ Specialist now. I think Virgin appeals to the younger market. The medical side is more Investec, known as BOQ Specialist.
Yeah, so they got lots of things there, but what are their home loan products like? What do they like to bank with? So that's why today we're going to go through our top 5 things they're great at and 5 things they're not so good at. So Nathan, starting right from the top, number 1, they're really good at customer satisfaction, it turns out. So BOQ actually have one of the highest customer satisfaction ratings among all the banks across Australia.
And I think that is coming down to a few things. One thing is they do have a large owner-manager franchise model, which means a lot of their managers are ingrained in the community and they're encouraged to get a part of the community. So we see that customer satisfaction is probably a direct result of that, which is quite interesting there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different way to operate, but like Nathan said, when you go to the bank, one of the branch manager there actually owns the place. So they can be a bit more involved and probably give you a bit more time compared to some of the other banks who aren't so friendly. So definitely BOQ, you're not bad at customer service. Number 2 thing that they're really good at is their interest rate discounts or their interest rate. So Nathan, I know they do lots of different home loan specials and interest rates throughout the year. So what's good about that and what's bad about that?
Yeah, look, they definitely do have some great offerings through different times of the years. They come in and out of the market. So at certain moments in time, you can find that they are very sharp in terms of their offering.
Yeah, so you just really need to time it right. So the hard thing with BOQ is that they don't always openly advertise their really sharp rates. So there've been campaigns where they might just tell brokers, they might have deals that they won't openly advertise, and you just need to be in there at the right time, at the right place, probably to take advantage of that. But definitely, it's a big plus for BOQ. Number 3, Nathan, is they do a lot in the commercial space. So being a smaller bank, they had to niche and they had to do something a bit different from the big banks, and they did this by doing commercial and business banking products. So obviously it's not going to cater for everyone, but it's not bad.
Point number 4, they do have a large community presence. So we mentioned it before, in the bank, they are mainly owner-operated by owner-managers, which are franchises, and those franchisees are big into the community and they do sponsorship for sporting events. They get involved and you'll see them around. So they have a really great community presence.
You might have seen them at your local soccer field. You know, that's nice if you want to have that and have a bank that's supporting your community rather than charging it fees. So I think, BOQ, you've done pretty good at that as well. Number 5 thing that BOQ is pretty good at is doing complicated loan applications with trust. So Nathan, other banks aren't all good at this?
Yeah, that's right. I think this comes back to their commercial origin. So the bank is heavily ingrained in small business, and given that's the case, they are pretty good at complicated situations where some banks, which just appeal to the mums and dads, might not be so equipped to handle a very complicated
This is
scenario.
going to be one that doesn't really cater for a lot of people. If you're a lawyer or you're a doctor or a dentist or something like that and you don't want to get sued and you want to buy your home in a company, they're great for you. So Nathan, 5 things that BOQ aren't good at. Let's start from the top. Interest-only home loans. So why is that? Why aren't they that good at interest-only home loans compared to the big banks?
Once again, it's more the fact that they're a smaller lender. So as a result, some banks do have to keep a quota on the amount that they can lend interest only. That can be a bit of an issue, particularly when looking at someone like a Bank of Queensland, which being smaller can have issues with doing too many interest-only lending loans.
Yeah, and as a consequence, it means their interest rates are a bit higher for those interest-only ones, so just keep an eye out for that. Number 2 is, as a smaller bank, they've got slightly stricter credit criteria. So Nathan, take us through that. Why is that? Why aren't they, as loose, I guess, as some of the bigger banks?
Yeah, so what we do find with Bank of Queensland, their lending criteria is quite strict and restrictive. So it means that the applications they're looking at need to meet a certain standard, and if they're not at that standard, it's probably not something that they'd have an appetite for.
So I'll give you an example. If you're in a casual job or if you get overtime, Bank of Queensland asks for much more information than some of the big banks there. So it's not like they're not going to do it, they're just going to make it a lot tougher for you. Our third thing that BOQ aren't so good at, they're kind of slow. Oh, they can be really slow sometimes, Nathan. So why?
The fact of the matter is that they, being a small bank, can deal with large influxes of applications. And in those times where there is a high number of applications, for example, if they have a promotion, they can slow down given the number of customers applying for the loans and the time it takes for them to assess.
Bottleneck. You know, they're trying to do this great special, everyone's applying for them, and then suddenly they've got too many deals and not enough people to approve them. So that's why they can really slow down. And if you've bought it, you know, if you're buying in Queensland, you haven't even put 7 days of finance or less, it can really be tough to get your loan approved in that time frame. So look out for that. So number 4 that BOQ aren't that good at are dealing with unique properties, I guess you'd call them. They're ones that, well, you'd think they're not that different, but I'm talking in particular about high density units. So Nathan, why don't they like units?
So they can be a little bit restrictive in certain areas, particularly if you're looking at small square meterage, properties that are unique in many different ways.
Well, use an example. So for example, if you're looking at buying a unit in Brisbane CBD, it's a 1 bedroom, it has no car space, and it's only 40 square meters. Would they like that?
That could be a challenge because once again, they're looking at more properties that the wider market would be open to buying if they had to sell it. So with unique properties, that can be a bit of a challenge to get through.
And our 5th one and last point is they're not great with people who have bad credit history. So they credit score, Nathan. So I guess what does that mean and what are the challenges with that?
If you've had a bit of a rough patch in the past, that will show your credit file. And when they credit score, it can be the determining factor between getting that loan and not getting that loan.
And the crazy thing is this can be something as simple as you might have missed a phone bill a couple of years ago, you moved out from that address, you forgot to pay it or you didn't even know it was there, and the telecommunications company, you know, Telstra, put a default on your credit file. And that can actually affect you from applying from home loan today, even if it was $100 or $50 or less. So yeah, unfortunately BOQ, because they credit score, aren't great in that space. But I think overall, Nathan, wrapping up, you know, there's a good with the bad. So obviously they've got some really good interest rates there. They've got a couple of good products for commercial, and they're really involved with the community, which is awesome. But they can be slow and strict and a bit rough. So how do you find dealing with them overall?
Yeah, I think if you can understand they can be a little bit inconsistent from an overall time perspective and understand that if you've got a bad credit file or looking at a unique property, might not be for you. Overall, I think you should be pretty fine with them.
So we give them 3.5 out of 5 stars.